They threw the janitor's son out of the hotel but had no idea who his father was. There was a world of crystal, gold leaf, and quiet, costly voices because the polished marble floors of the Vesper Grande Hotel mirrored the chandeliers like frozen stars. The obstinate scuff mark that was located close to the grand piano was being cleaned by Leo, who was knee-deep in a pail of dirty water. The silk and cashmere that was whirling about him provided a striking contrast to the rough texture of his faded work shirt, which felt rough on his skin. The chatter in the lounge was interrupted by a voice that was as piercing as broken glass. "Excuse me, young man," the speaker said. When Mrs. Pendleton, the manager of the hotel, stepped over him, she was wearing a luxury suit that was spotless, and her face was one of great disdain. "Hello, and welcome to the Ambassador Lounge. All of the guests are making their way to the pre-gala reception." Leo answered in a calm voice, "I know, Mrs. Pendleton," while continuing to scrub despite the challenge.
"Oh,
"It's almost over." Tar was tracked in by someone who was roofing. She snarled in a low but poisonous tone, "Almost isn't sufficient," as she spoke the words. "It seems that your presence here is out of place. Find a place to finish." Right now, while leaning back on his heels, Leo let out a sigh. It was nothing new to him. Over the course of 20 years, his father, Silas, who was the head of maintenance at the Vesper Grande, had been employed there. Learning about the secret arteries of the building, such as the boiler rooms, the service elevators, and the network of pipes hidden behind the golden walls, Leo volunteered his time after school and during breaks throughout the day. It might be argued that he was more familiar with the hotel's rhythm than any of the other guests, including Mrs. Pendleton herself. Nevertheless, in her eyes, he was nothing more than the janitor's son, an unattractive blemish on the flawless exterior of the Vesper Grande. During the time that he was collecting his bucket and rags, a bunch of adolescents, who were obviously the children of the elite that was assembled above, came in and began laughing loudly. Chadwick Thorne, 3, a little child, was the one who reported seeing Leo. "Well, if it isn't the human mop." With a grimace, Chadwick pushed his companions farther. "Practicing for the highlight of your future career, is that correct? I hope you were able to make the floors shine even more for us." Leo chose to ignore them and proceeded towards the service entrance. Mr. Pendleton was stopped by Mrs. Pendleton. "That's not the case. In the staff corridors, you will be responsible for tracking dirt. Utilize the main entrance and be sure to move quickly. Stay away from it." When he used the main door, he had to travel through the luxurious lobby. Strolling past the visitors, who were staring at him, and the concierge, who was acting condescendingly toward him, all while carrying his cleaning materials. The humiliation was deliberately planned out. Although Leo felt his cheeks burning, he maintained a high head. In the process of navigating the lobby, the clatter of his bucket reverberated on the marble in an uncomfortably loud manner. As if they were gnats, whispers trailed him. Janitor's boy. Shouldn't be back here. How gauche. In the moment when he was about to enter the enormous brass doors, Chadwick and his companions suddenly materialized and blocked his way, leaving so soon Swiffer. The insult was delivered by Chadwick, who purposefully bumped Leo's pail. As the murky water sloshed over the lip, it splattered over the spotless floor and, more importantly, onto Chadwick's outrageously costly limited edition shoes. You clumsy oaf. And with a look of real indignation on his face, Chadwick let forth a shrill scream. Look at what you've accomplished. This is a must-have for every collector. More valuable than the annual salary that your father brings in. A moment later, Mrs. Pendleton was before us, her face ablaze with anger. And that's it. This is a warning, safeguarding. The cracking in her voice was like a whip. There looked to be 2 imposing guards. Immediately remove this individual from the premises, the officer said. Additionally, make sure he is aware that he is not permitted to return to the Vesper Grande at any time. Today's the day when his father will be able to receive his last salary. There was no resistance from Leo when the guards seized his arms in a harsh manner. He looked directly into Mrs. Pendleton's eyes. A strangely firm tone could be heard in his voice as he remarked, "You are making a mistake." The sound of her chuckle was brittle. "My only error was ever permitting people of your sort to return to this place. Get rid of him." Leo took out his phone as they frog-marched him out the rotating doors and placed him in a rudely manner on the pavement that was covered in rain as it was pouring. To not contact his father. After that, he contacted a number that was just stored as Dad's office. Leo, after a single ring, a voice that was deep and calm replied, "Everything is okay, right? My assumption was that you were assisting Silas tonight." Leo stated to his father, "I got thrown out of the Vesper Grande," as he saw the rain distort the dazzling sign that was displayed on the hotel. According to the manager, I was incongruous, made a commotion. Said Silas is also terminated from his position. On the other end, there was a resounding stillness that conveyed a deep sense of disappointment rather than anger. A trace of steel could be heard under the calmness of the voice as it repeated, "Incongruous. Did they say why?" "This is a bucket of soiled water. Caused a accident by splattering the footwear of several wealthy children after they tripped me." The manager referred to me as his kind. The stone was kicked by Leo. Told them they were making a mistake. Through the phone, a gentle sigh could be heard. "Well, Leo, there are repercussions for your mistakes." Hold your ground. I will dispatch Arthur. Where is Leo? Yeah, Dad. Remember what we discussed about foundations. Only a smirk appeared on Leo's face. That's right. It is the hidden foundations that are responsible for holding everything together, even while the showy stuff is on top. In addition, they are often constructed by hands that are soiled. Exactly, sir. I'll see you very soon. When the line was cut off, within the Vesper Grande, the pre-gala excitement reached its pinnacle on the inside. The gems glittered and champagne flowed freely. Mrs. Pendleton gloated, reveling in the glory of the success of her event, which had been immaculate. While Chadwick was holding court, he was telling a dramatic account of the attack that had been committed by the filthy janitor's son. His damaged shoes were presented like a memento of a martyr. Suddenly, there was a change in the mood. Near the entrance, there was a wave of true astonishment that carried with it a sense of perplexity that rippled over the audience. Unannounced, but difficult to ignore, a guy had entered the room via the door. Although he was not dressed in black tie, he was wearing charcoal pants that were well made and subtle. He was also wearing a good wool sweater underneath a long coat. He emanated a calm authority, his eyes piercing and looking for nothing in particular. It was Arthur, a guy with a serious expression and a black suit, who was accompanying him. As he hurried ahead, the proprietor of the hotel, Mr. Harrington, seemed to be virtually falling over himself. His face was pale. "It is Mr. Thorne. Oh, sir." This accolade came as a complete surprise. "No one told us that you were going to be attending the gala." "Congratulations, you have arrived to the Vesper Grande. This is Arlo Thorne, rather than only a billionaire. Not only a powerful industrialist, in addition to being a philanthropist who participated in the reconstruction of communities, he was notably and fiercely private. He was the creator of sustainable city infrastructure. His impact was immeasurable, yet unobtrusive, and it was deeply ingrained in the fundamental foundation of contemporary progress. With his consent, initiatives might be created, but with his displeasure, they could be destroyed without a trace. A feature that was inherited from his own father, who worked as a stonemason, was his great humility. He was also well known for this trait. When Harrington extended his hand to Arlo Thorne, he did not respond. His gaze traveled over the room, avoiding the dazzling crowd, and eventually settled on Mrs. Pendleton, who, in an instant, seemed to be on the verge of fainting out unexpectedly. Despite the fact that his voice was soft when he spoke, it was enough to hush the whole room. According to Arlo Harrington, he stated with an icy tone, "It's not the gala that I'm attending. I have come to get my kid." There was a collective gasp that dissipated the air in the room. It caused Chadwick's jaw to drop. As Mrs. Pendleton wavered, the color drained from her cheeks to such an extent that she seemed to be a marble statue herself. "Your son," Harrington stumbled over his words. "I am sure that there is a mistake, Mr. Thorne. We could only remove a young guy who was creating a disturbance. The lad who worked as a janitor." "Silas Vance," Arlo said, his tone becoming more adamant, "is the head of your maintenance department. A guy who has maintained the integrity of this structure for 20 years, ensuring that all of its systems continue to function without a hitch. A person whose knowledge and experience you depend on a daily basis." "And Leo," he continued, his gaze sweeping over Chadwick and his friends, who shrank back, "is my son. I have a great deal of respect for him, and he has made the decision to spend his time learning the importance of actual labor from him. It would seem that your establishment has a complete and total lack of respect for this." After a while, he returned his penetrating attention to Harrington. "Leo, you phoned me. He informed me that he had cautioned your management that she was making a mistake." Arlo took a momentary pause, allowing the horrifying knowledge to permeate each and every privileged individual in the room. He was correct. In response, Arthur gave Harrington a big envelope. He made a move toward Arthur. "Inside," Arlo said, "you will find notice of immediate termination of all Thorne Global contracts with Vesper Grande Holdings." The notice was included in the package. "The exclusive supply agreements for your heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, water purification, and smart building management systems are included in this scope. These are systems that my firm built and that only my company maintains. Additionally, you will see a list of investors who, after learning about this event and the poisonous climate that has been developed here, have made the decision to withdraw their support for your planned growth." Harrington seemed to be on the verge of throwing up. Not only did the contracts with Thorne Global result in financial gain, but they also served as the technical foundation upon which the premium brand of Vesper Grande was built. A loss of them, as well as the faith of investors, was not a setback. Rather, it was an event that may have led to extinction. "In addition," Arlo said, his voice sounding as if it were made of tempered steel, "Mrs. Pendleton, your services are no longer required. Starts shortly after that." He nodded to Arthur, who then discreetly gestured, and the 2 guards who had expelled Leo arrived, looking horrified. "Security," he said. "You may escort her out. Utilize the main entrance. Permit her to hesitate." While Mrs. Pendleton was being brought away, crying, with her career in shambles, Arlo looked to the audience that was in complete disbelief. "It seems that these golden walls have forgotten the ideals of honesty and hard labor, but my son came here today to assist a guy who exemplifies both of those qualities. On the other hand, you misunderstood service as slavery and humility as lowliness. This evening, keep in mind. It is important to keep in mind that the hands who are responsible for cleaning your floors, repairing your pipes, and building your foundations deserve more respect than the superficial show that you revere. As he approached the entryway, he paused for a while to gaze straight at Chadwick, who had a fearful expression. "Are you a young man? There are 1,000 pairs of such shoes that my kid could purchase. However, he places a high value on things that money cannot purchase. A topic that you may want to think about studying." In the moment that Arlo Thorne stepped out of the Vesper Grande, there was complete quiet behind him. The only sounds that could be heard were the choking cries of Harrington and the frenzied muttering of a collapsing elite. Outside, Leo was standing next to a sophisticated and elegant automobile, while Arthur was behind the door. Arlo approached, and as he did so, the sternness that had been shown on his face was replaced with warmth and pride. His hand was put on Leo's shoulder while he spoke. "You okay?" The glistening hotel was the first thing that Leo glanced at when he turned his attention back to his father. A man whose genuine power did not lie in riches, but rather in character and quiet strength. "It's true, Dad. I am doing well, superior to what is excellent." By the time he caught a glimpse of the Vesper Grande sign, he seemed to be less intimidating. "Guess they found out what happens when you kick out the foundation." A genuine and friendly grin appeared on Arlo's face. "When it comes to buildings, Leo, there are times when the most significant ones are the ones that nobody recognizes until they are gone." "Are you prepared to go and assist Silas in repairing the leaking valve in the boiler chamber of the old community center?" He sent a text message stating that he wanted an additional set of hands. As Leo smiled, he made a symbolic gesture by throwing his cleaning rags into a bin that was located nearby. "Best offer I've had all night, Dad." During the time when the automobile was moving away from the curb, Leo neglected to glance back at the hotel. He looked forward at something that was significant and a legacy that was built on something that was far more durable than marble. The celebration continued inside the Vesper Grande, but the glitter had lost its brilliance. The champagne tasted flat, and the fissures that had been undetected in their beautiful world had suddenly become terrifyingly evident. After hearing what the architect had to say, the basis of their hubris had been completely destroyed.